you have the setback with Manaea, and now he's going to be shut down from throwing for 2 weeks. There's inflammation in that oblique. The obliques could be tricky. I don't see where the Mets can replace Sean Manaea here. Now, it's not that I don't trust David Stearns and the pitching staff, because I do to a certain extent, but I really think a major key, at least right now, the way that this roster looks, they need Sean Manaea healthy, and now that's not going to be the case for a while.
Okay, I heard this in the car yesterday coming home with Evan and Tiki, and my first reaction is different than my reaction now. My first reaction was much like you. Fairly ominous. You're getting the injections. You're getting shut down at least for 2 weeks before you touch a ball. And then you got to ramp back up if there's no setbacks again. I don't think we see Sean Manaea till June. It could be July. But I got to tell you, the more I thought about this, I don't want to say that it's not a big deal, because it could be. But it's not a shoulder. It's not an elbow. Sean Manaea is going to pitch this year, okay? And the Braves still haven't won a game here. Like, I'm watching the Mets last night, and to me, this might just seem weird or just, I don't know, almost like a contrarian perspective, but it's really not. I would rather get the news about Manaea that we got yesterday from a Mets perspective than seeing Senga go out there last night and either really labor, he pitched well. If Lindor, doesn't boot the ball around, he pitches a great game. It sounds worse than it is. Manaea is going to pitch this year. I don't think it's a massive deal.
The problem is, for me, and I love hearing that, and I don't think it's debilitating to the regular season, but one of the keys for me was Sean Manaea, because look at that rotation. Who's got the potential that Sean Manaea has? I don't believe anybody in the current rotation, including Kodai Senga, has the potential that Sean Manaea has, especially what he's shown in the second half of last year, changing the arm angle.
By the way, I'd probably agree with that. Keep going. I probably agree.
So then also look back to Manaea's history, where last year was really an outlier. I mean, Manaea has shown flashes before, especially early on in his career, but he's also been a pitcher that has been off injured. And you had him last year throw, 100 and whatever it was, about 181 innings. He never did that before in his entire career. So maybe a byproduct of that, 181 innings and postseason, all that stuff, is going to be potentially a lost year. I'm not trying to project when he's coming back, but let's say he comes back on time and there are no more setbacks. Then the question is, okay, well, is he going to be full throttle what Manaea was a year ago? Is there going to be time to, build that up? Is he going to be good to go in the postseason? With a guy who's been injured before, a guy who threw his career high in innings last year, I don't think it's unrealistic to maybe brace yourself for, hey, maybe it's just going to be a lost season for Manaea. Even if he comes back, who knows if you could count on him to be that ace that he was in the second half of last season.
Yeah, but even if he started the season healthy and there was no setbacks, and you might be right, there might be some residue from being overly taxed a year ago, hitting the 180 plus threshold, and he's never been there before. I still don't know that there was any sort of guarantee that Sean Manaea just slotted into this certainly top of the rotation, but this borderline unhittable, all-star ace. I think for me there was still not many questions, because I do like him, and I think with the change in windup, I think it's just enhanced what's already a pretty good repertoire in terms of what he throws. Now he conceals the ball. I think it adds up. I think Manaea is really good. I like him.
Right.
But let me ask you this: do you not think? And I think it's a pretty simple question. Do you think he doesn't pitch this year?
I think he'll pitch at some point.
So do I.
Because to your point, I think it's a good one about the shoulder, the elbow, none of that. This is an oblique. Okay.
So do I. He's going to pitch this year.
Okay, but I think it's fair to have concerns, even if he were 100% healthy coming into the year. Like, is it fair to say that last year might have been the outlier? A lot of us believed that it was legit when he found the new arm angle. He looked dominant. But what he did last year, he did for the first time in his career. He had the best ERA, I believe, in his career, outside of the a year where he didn't pitch a full season. He had the best year of his career ERA-wise and innings pitched. Is it fair to expect that again? I don't know. So I think there were some question marks coming in anyway. Mm-hmm. And now with the injuries on top of it, I don't think you can count on Sean Manaea. Maybe that's the best way I could say it right now, to where I was ready to count on him coming into the year. Yep. And then even after the initial oblique, it's like, all right, it's not that bad. He'll come back and we can count on him. Once something like this happens, now I think it's too murky. And I just would say that I hope for the best. I expect him to get back at some point, but I would not be relying on him or counting on him to be that top of the rotation guy this year.
Okay, so I watched the first 2 months of the season last year, a Yankee rotation without Garrett Cole, do things that I mean, I didn't think they had any chance to do. Now, I'm not saying that the Mets will absolutely replicate that, but, baseball's a weird sport. And Kodai Senga was not around for the Mets last year. And I know it's easy to get wrapped up in, well, is he truly a gamer? Well, everything's got to be perfect.
He's a pain in the neck, dude, with these starts. He needs his rest.
I know. It's annoying and tricky to work around, but Kodai Senga, when he's on the mound, is at the lowest level serviceable, and at the highest level, sometimes unhittable. So that's an early return. Again, very early return. Again, Lindor's not going to make 2 errors. Maybe the rest of his career in a single game. So at least Senga's out there, and he looked pretty good. Peterson, I like him. McGill looked good. And I'm not a big Tyler McGill fan, but he did have a really good spring training, and he did pitch really well this first start. The hardest thing to do, I think especially in baseball, Sal, is to escape either previous narratives or statistical trends, because we're so numbers oriented and our eyes are very strong tools that it really takes. When I say us, I mean me, you, fans, everybody, us collectively as fans. It's hard to disassociate our brains from what we've seen for a while. But there is a chance that Tyler or McGill is going to be an asset this year. There's a chance.
Yeah, I know. I don't trust him.
I'm not leaning on it, but I get it. I'm not saying I trust him either.
Right.
But there's a chance that while I don't trust him, I'm not just going to throw him to the side and say he's got no chance. I'm going to take a wait and see, because he did have a good spring and he has shown some growth. I like Peterson. And listen, I think tonight might be one of, this is going to sound ridiculously hyperbolic, I think tonight's one of the bigger starts that a Met will have over the next couple of months. I need to see not 7 innings, 0 runs, 9 whiffs, and 1 walk, but I need to see Clay Holmes bounce back, and I believe that he will. And if he does, I do believe the Mets will be able to navigate what's going to be an extended run without Sean Manaea.
I trust David Stearns. I think you'd be a fool not to at this point. Now, it's one time through this rotation this year, but still, the one time looks pretty good. He also had all of last year. I just feel like, remember, coming into the year, it was built with Manaea and Montas in mind, and the other guys that we're seeing now, Griffin Canning, Tyler McGill, they were supposed to be depth pieces. Now, Montas not here for a while at least. Manaea, and you could say that he's going to come back. We don't know. Yeah, we assume he's going to come back. We thought the same thing last year with Kodai Senga. He came back, got hurt again. He ended up missing the whole year. So there's always that thought of, maybe he'll come back. There's a lot of question mark. And if I'm saying in my mind, I can't rely on Manaea, now that leaves you thin in that rotation where there is no more wiggle room. Blackburn may come back at some point soon, but I mean, it's Blackburn.
I'm not counting. He's the one guy when they got him.
Okay.
I'm like, I don't know about him.
But Blackburn, Canning, McGill, Peterson, Holmes is converted. There are a lot of. They're lacking depth now because of the 2 injuries. They're lacking a true horse atop that rotation, and their margin for error just became basically 0 in the rotation, because if something else were to go wrong, and it's April 2nd or whatever it is today.
I get that.
If something else were to go wrong in that rotation, now again, I'm not saying it's going to torpedo the Mets season, but this is where this would be the one guy in that rotation that I wouldn't want to have any kind of significant issue, and it seems like that's the case with Manaea after the setback.
Okay, so the fact that the Braves lost again, they're 0-6. They've got
I love it.
You got to love it, Met fans. The fact that they're 0-6 and the Dodgers smacked them around, and they've got pitching issues.
Yeah, the Mets will hit. That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's where I was going. Like, don't you think? Because I remember saying to you a lot, I believe, and it's been the opposite so far, though I do think it will correct itself somewhat. Fully, I'm not sure, but somewhat, yes. Where I think I thought the Mets would have to win some slugfest early. I've said that. 8-7, 7-6. Do I believe that Alonso's going to hit 160 or whatever? No. Nemo's showing some signs. I mean, Lindor, the usual April funk. Right. I mean, Soto's hitting 250. We know he's not a 250 hitter. He's basically more like a 315 hitter. He's great. So I think that the Mets right now, and I understand the concerns, but I think when you take a step back and incorporate the other team's issues, again, I'm not saying it's not a big deal with Manaea. It's not the end of the world because he wasn't even going to start the season healthy. I knew he was missing April, so what? Now he's going to miss May. Deal with it. You'll be all right.
BT and Sal on the Fan, our friends at Town Fair Tire remind you that at Town Fair Tire, you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Rob is calling from Tom's River. What's up, Robbie?
What's going on, guys?
Hey.
Man, this is like the third time I've called and the third time I've led this show off.
You like getting leadoff on BT and Sal. Good for you.
It's the Goldschmidt here.
I love you guys. I really love you guys. You guys are great. So I wanna kind of hop in with BT a little bit. I want to disagree about this not being a big deal with Manaea, and the reason why I say that, on the surface, you're right? Not a big deal. He'll be back middle of May, beginning of June, whatever. But this was a B- rotation with full health coming into the season, and now we're looking at C-, D+. Sal, I kind of want to agree with you. There is no horse. I'm watching the games every night with bated breath, hoping somebody doesn't get hurt or we can go deep. And it doesn't help that, we were supposed to be scoring 6, 7, 8 runs a night, and we have not. So,
but it's been 5
I'm
games.
not worried.
You're right. Exactly, Rob. It's been 5 games, though, so that's why, and thank you for the call. That's why I wouldn't go nuts about the offense yet. I'm not concerned about the offense because Lindor will hit eventually. The calendar may have to turn to May or June, but once he starts hitting, it looks like a totally different team. And Alonso, even though I'm not as high on him as some, he's still going to put up his numbers. Nemo's starting to look a little bit better. We know Viento's I'm not worried. The offense, you got to give at least a little bit of time here. You can't just judge it off of 5 games. But I would be concerned about the pitching because we know how these things work. We actually said the same thing with the Yankees, who were loaded coming into the year. But once you start losing some of these guys, Cole goes down, Heel goes down. I forget the timeline. But once they lose one of them, it was Heel first, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was Heel first.
Right, so Heel first. And then it's like, okay, well, yeah, they could overcome that, but now you don't want to have anything else happen. And then when Cole goes down, now it's like, oh.
And then Schmidt, too.
And then Schmidt. So, boom, before you even start the season, the Yankees are down 3 of their best pitchers. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could overcome that, but now the margin for error, what happens if somebody else, knock on wood, doesn't have? So the Mets were thin coming in. Manaea was the one guy who I thought could be a game changer in that rotation. That's why, again, doesn't mean the season's over. I still believe the Mets will be a playoff team and they'll be fine. But this is the one guy that I was counting on to be a difference maker in that rotation. And now I can't have any expectations because I don't know how you could when you have a setback like this. Who's to say that it couldn't happen again, another setback?
It could. No, listen, it could happen, but it could happen to other teams too. Right. I mean, this is a long race. And I love this. That's what makes this city the best. When it comes to, all the sports, but really baseball. We do attach almost a football-like urgency on a night-to-night baseball basis for both the Mets and the Yankees. And that's because we love it, you love it, we're invested, and that's the way it's always going to be. And that's the way it's always been. But I don't know a single major league player to miss the entire year due to an oblique strain. I know, players who have pulled up a little lame in maybe in July, and they leave a game with an oblique strain, and it's an issue for the rest of the year. I know a lot of pitchers who leave spring training with whether it's a shoulder impediment or impingement, but I'll go with the actual medical term, impingement. Jeez, good God! I have one. How do I not remember what the hell I have? But the impingement or elbow pain, this will be dealt with. It's a pushback. It's not optimal. I understand that. You don't want to lose the series to the Marlins. But I heard a lot of gloom and doom already today.
Yeah.
I'm not on that boat. Not yet.
Also, to be positive with it for a sec, this is one of the advantages of, well, I shouldn't call it an advantage, but one of the things that I like about the way Stearns builds a team to where you're not so heavily reliant on the pitcher.
Yeah.
We looked at Manaea as the Mets ace because he was their best pitcher, but this is not losing Garrett Cole. Now, they don't have Max Fried to replace him, but the drop-off from Manaea, last year was a career year, 3.47 ERA. If you're telling me that you can't get that or close to that from Clay Holmes.
I think you'll get it from Senga.
Or Peterson or Senga.
I think you'll get it from Senga.
Right, so then you have him replace it. I'm just thinking big picture down the road, and Manaea was going to be one of those weapons that the Mets would need against the good teams, and especially in the postseason. Good news is we have a long way to go to the postseason. The other side of it, BT, is that their bullpen is better than it was a year ago. So that should help them weather this storm as well.
You led me there. It's funny. I was going to go to the bullpen. Yeah, it's good to have more arms, which they do. But now this is a danger that I would present as unfortunately very, very plausible for the Mets here. Yes, the bullpen's better. Yes, they've got more arms, higher leverage arms. Diaz's velo is back. What they have in front of them is better. But without some length that Manaea is going to give you, I fear that the Mets bullpen, which could be and is supposed to be a bit of a strength this year, where are they in terms of just the odometer when you get to the hot dog days of July and August?
Yeah.
That's a concern.
Well, they're going to have versatility or flexibility in that bullpen, sending guys down, bringing guys up. They value that. They also have multi-inning guys in that bullpen, which is a difference. Not only good, but guys that could go multiple innings, which should save your bullpen resting them. You have two guys pitch 2+ innings on one night, the next two guys up the next night, or three guys, whatever it is, and you give these guys off days built in kind of.
There's ways to navigate it, but it does complicate the season.
Yeah, and I still would just worry. Hoff was saying that David Peterson, would you say there, Hoff?
Yeah, in 2021, June 30th, he went down with an oblique strain. He missed the rest of the season, which was 3 months.
June, July. He went down end of June. So
End of
July,
June 30th.
And Manaea was late February. The setback yesterday. Well, actually, it wasn't yesterday.
Right, so,
Mendy said it was a couple of days ago, but it came out yesterday.
All right, so even if you count 3 months from now, all of April, all of May, let's say he comes back in July, you'd sign for that right now.
July's, I wouldn't mind a little earlier than that. I wouldn't put July as the time. I still think June.
Understood, but if you're telling me similar with Luis Gil, and again, I know different injuries, so it's not apples to apples. I'm just saying the timeline is, or Stanton. As long as you get Stanton back before October, you're good to go. And obviously we expect it sooner than that, or maybe it sounds like the Yankees do. If you get Gil back and he's ready to go and pitching, working his way up and in mid-season form by end of September, by October, you're good to go. If you tell me that right now, that I could have Sean Manaea clean, healthy, mid-season form by July or even August,
you take it.
Yeah, I would. Now I don't know where the Mets are going to be in the standings, but I just need him ready. I know you got to make the postseason. I expect that that's going to be the case with this Mets team. I want him ready, full bore to go to the postseason.
Yeah, and oddly, we bring up Luis Gil. I almost feel better about Manaea's physical situation than I do Luis Gil.
Because the oblique.
Given the unpredictable nature of the shoulder and the arm for a pitcher.
Yeah, I know.
Listen, the oblique is not fun. Have you ever torn your oblique?
No.
I have.
Not that I know. Well,
the intercostal, everything's happened
how'd you do that?
I don't know. Golfing.
Okay.
The intercostal, it's like the soft side.
Okay.
It feels like somebody stabbing a knife. What haven't I had? Like a sword in my side. I remember going over speed bumps in Manhattan, and I thought I was going to die.
You haven't had the gout yet. False alarm. You thought we had that.
The gout has been ruled out, thank God. But the point is that the oblique eventually does heal. The shoulder and the unpredictable nature of that. I'm not saying that the oblique is fully predictable, because you could breathe in the middle of the night awkwardly and you could set yourself back a month. It's a very hard thing to navigate. Manaea's going to be back. I guess the only question really is, do you believe, and maybe we can get into this coming up next year, a bigger item for the Mets. Do you believe that the Mets need Manaea to stay afloat before he gets back?
BT and Sal on the Fan, 888-808-1019.